Greetings. I'm Reverend Dr. John E. Jackson Sr., the senior pastor of the Trinity United Church of Christ in Gary, Indiana, where we are not just another church, but we are a culturally conscious, Christ-centered church that's committed to the community. We are unashamedly Black and we are unapologetically Christian. And it's Friday, and I want to offer what I call a Friday fortification. And this Friday, I want to lift up a story that's going to it's going to illustrate prayer, perseverance, and the presence of God. If I was preaching a sermon, those would be the points: prayer, perseverance, and the presence of God. So the story goes like this. My wife and I, Janice, my wife, we have three wonderful children. They are grown now. The youngest, my daughter, Lanice, I remember when she was a freshman at Tuskegee University. By the end of her freshman year, her grades were not good. I don't know exactly why, because she had the aptitude, the brilliance, but her grades were not good. I got a sneaky suspicion and I got a holy hunch there was a lot of partying going on, because I reflected back when I was at SIU in Carbondale, Illinois. My grades didn't turn out so good, and I ended up coming home. You know why I came home? I ended up coming home because the grades weren't good, and I know I had engaged in a little too much partying. Just a footnote: too much partying does not bode well for the academic career. And so I suspected that she had been doing a lot of partying, and so she had to come home. So I did give her some challenges. I shared with her, so, you can try to get back in school somewhere. I thought the ship to Tuskegee had passed. I didn't think she would even want to try to get back in there. But I said there are other schools. There also the opportunity to find your job and just start making a living working. And then I also added, to my chagrin and to my family's angst, I said there's always the military. But little did I know that my daughter went about trying to get back in Tuskegee. I got a call at the end of that year that Lanice was out of school. I think it was December. And I got a call from the principal of the Kipling Elementary School in Chicago. And the principal's name is Corrine Washington, or at that time, Miss Washington was the principal. And Miss Washington called me and said, Reverend Jackson, do you have a daughter by the name of Lanice? I said, yes. She said, Reverend Jackson, I want you to know, first of all, that your daughter wrote the most beautiful letter to get back in school. She said, when the letter got to me, I read it and then shared it with the alumni. And she said, incidentally, I am the chair of the Alumni Association. Your daughter wrote this letter to us. She said, when I got that powerful letter, I shared it with the rest of the alumni, and they were all blown away that this young lady wrote such a powerful letter. Now, I didn't know your daughter. I didn't know her name. I had never met her. But we did something we don't normally do. After reading her letter, we said, we've got to see the young lady that wrote this letter. So we invited her to come and meet with us. From the moment she sat down, Reverend Jackson, I saw in her you. I knew it was your daughter. And so I just had to call you to let you know that, first of all, your daughter wrote such a powerful letter that impacted all of the alumni. Second of all, I wanted you to know that I had met your daughter. But third of all, I want you to know that we are going to move heaven and earth for Lanice to get back in Tuskegee. I was blown away, y'all. First of all, I was never so proud of my daughter. I've been proud in other moments after that, but that moment just blew me away. Because first of all, I know she was praying also. Second of all, her perseverance, y'all, it just blew me away. I was never so proud of my baby girl. But then thirdly, I was just in awe at the peculiar presence of God that was orchestrating behind the scenes. So let me share with you how I knew Mrs. Washington was that about 3 or 4 years prior to this incident, I had been a part of a ministry of our church. At that time, I was a member of Trinity United Church of Christ in Chicago under the leadership of the Reverend Dr. Jeremiah A. Wright Jr. And our ministry was called Project Jeremiah. And it was where men went back into the public schools. We had several schools that were assigned to us that we would go into and mentor boys and girls, classrooms. And Kipling School was one of the schools that I just fell in love with because Mrs. Washington was just a profound and prolific and awesome woman and principal, and her faith was just off the chain. And so we formed a relationship, a friendship. I did not know that, I had no way of knowing, and neither did she, that God had been orchestrating behind the scenes, that first of all, we would form a relationship, a friendship, but second of all, that Miss Washington would be the chair of the Alumni Association. At the time, Lanice needed some help. God had been working this thing out behind the scenes, and it blew me away about the powerful, peculiar presence of God that orchestrates behind the scenes relationships and hookups that we don't even know what's going on. But it also requires for us to be diligent in penitent prayer, to practice penitent prayer. And it also requires that we would engage with passionate perseverance to participate in the progress of our purpose. And then we just rest on the power of God's peculiar presence to work things out. That story still sends chills throughout me. I'm still so proud of my daughter. And I didn't say, did I? She got back in Tuskegee. She graduated, got her bachelor's degree from Tuskegee, but she also went and got her master's from Tuskegee because God is such an awesome God. Let me share with you that humans are on hold because of this pandemic, but heaven is not on hold during this pandemic. God is working all things together for the good of them that love the Lord and who are called according to God's purpose. So don't ever mistake that humans may be on hold, but heaven is not on hold. But it does take the practice of penitent prayer. It does take our passionate perseverance toward the progress toward our purpose. And we do have to relax in knowing that there is the power of God's peculiar presence that is orchestrating behind the scenes. I hope this Friday Fortification will encourage you and inspire you during our crisis time, during this pandemic time, that God is still working things out for the good of those that love the Lord and who are called according to God's purpose. God bless you and God keep you. And guess what? I'm so glad the tomb was empty. Be encouraged.